Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this video. This is With Love, Meghan, Season 2, Episode 6, Just for the Halibut. The scene opens up as Meghan is walking through the sand area of the garden and she's picking greens and loaves for green juice. She says she's making it for Claire Smith. So she introduces Claire Smith as a chef in London. So she says while she was living in London, she went to a restaurant where Claire Smith made food, and she asked Claire Smith if she can cater her wedding, and she just loves her food. And then Megan goes on about, I'm gonna show her so good places in Santa Barbara where she can pick out fish. I am so curious about what fish she's going to pick out. And then she says, Claire is particularly plenty. That's what I like about her. And then she just sniffs some more greens, and then she walks away. So the scene shifts back into the rented kitchen, and Megan brings her little 4 pieces of snip snap grass and she puts it on the table and she's like, a knife and a scrap bowl. And then she starts chopping up the cucumber, some oranges, some lemons, and some stuff. And she was like, oh my God, I haven't juiced in 20 years. And I'm just like, oh, Megan. Uh, and then she was like, because she puts everything in the juicer. And then the guy, he was like, the cameraman, moment of truth. And then she's like, oh, what's happening? This juicer is just so quiet. Oh, technology. So the juicer's taking forever to juice. And so once she got like a nice big picture of the green juice, she was like, I'm gonna cut some apple because my ginger is not a good backup singer. Yes. Yes, Megan. Weird references. The only thing I can say about Megan is that she got some beautiful handwriting. That cursive is, oh my God, beautiful. And then she pours the juice into 2 like little containers. And then she goes, this is why people juice. Yeah, I, I guess, Megan, I guess. And then the show comes on. So the scene shifts to the back house, and Megan is making a travel kit for Claire because Claire is coming from London and it's a 12-hour flight. So she was like, if I was on a flight, what would I want? So she pulls out hand sanitizer, cashmere socks, eye masks, earplugs, mints, you name it. She's pulling it out. And she's like, I'm going to make this for Claire. And so that's what we're watching, her making gifts. Okay, so it's the next day, And Megan meets Claire outside in the front of the rented house. So, it's the usual greeting. Ah, Claire, I'm so glad you made it. And, so she's pouring the green juice and she's telling Claire that it's from the garden. Okay, so she tries Megan's drinking. She says, delicious, Megan. Very delicious. And then Megan was like, oh, you know, about my wedding dinner. Everybody still talks about it to this day. Yep, yep. The celebrities, they still talk about it, yep. And she was like, I I like how we had a map for every meal that was sourced and where it came from, and I really liked that, and it made people appreciate the meal. And then Megan, she kept going on, and then Claire was like, oh, what about the anniversary dinner we surprised you with? And then Meg was like, oh my God, yes, yes. The potato, no one can stop talking about. The bread, no one can stop talking about. Those were the best. But speaking of potato, I made you salt and vinegar chips. So Claire picks up a chip and goes, very delicious, very delicious. And then the scene opens up to where now Mega's gonna teach us how to make salt and vinegar chips. Okay, so she got done making the vinegar chips, and then so when the scene transitions back, uh, the camera lady is writing something on that I don't know what it's called, but uh, so she offered her. She goes, "Do you want a vinegar chip?" And I guess the lady takes one, and then she slams it shut, so it goes click. And then so I'm like, okay, they're doing it scene by scene. Okay, cool. So now Megan is talking to her about the local fish. So they're making some type of roll. So they need pepper, yeast, salt, all the good stuff that you need to make a roll. So she put the yeast and the ingredients together and she's mixing it with a hand mixer. I'm totally lost in the conversation about what they're talking about. And then when she lifts up the mixer, the dough is all over the tongs. So she grabs the dough and she was like, "Oh, it's very elastic." So Megan's just start bouncing it between her hands, and she's like, "Oh yeah," but they're not making like regular dinner rolls. I guess they're talking about Parker rolls. I guess it's an English thing. So she puts she puts Claire puts the dough in the bowl, and Megan puts tin foil over it. So within an hour and a half, the dough shall rise. So Megan's like, off to the fish market, shall we? And then in the opening scene, it shows like sailboats and stuff in the ocean. Okay, so they enter the fish market, and the guy's name is Brian, the Santa Barbara Fish Market. So they were talking about um, the fish and how they open at 4 a.m. and how um, they catch the fish. So, like, these people were like, I guess some were like alive and some were dead. And like, they were picking up like these lobsters. They were like moving their tails around and they got like puffer fish. Oh my God, all types of fish. And he was showing Megan about the type of fish that they got in that morning. Um, and then he said, like, these are like spineless crabs and they don't have any claws. And I'm like, them claws look cut to me, honey. So, yeah. So the scene shifts to Claire and Megan going into the fish market, as I already told you guys. And that they went to look at the type of fish, and now the halibut is their famous, and they're like huge, they're big. And so he asked them how many people are going to be at this party, and Megan was like, two. And so the guy picks up like a baby fish. So Megan holds the baby fish in her hands, and he said, "Guess how much it weighs." And Megan was like, "Little bit is about 30 pounds." So I'm guessing it would be 35 pounds. So the man puts the fish on the scale and it's 8 pounds even. And then Megan was like, I was way off. Cause little bit. So I was like, girl, just take the fish and go back to the rented house. So the scene trans back into the rented kitchen, and Megan was like, this is a great halibut, just like on the board, just for the halibut. And let's go check on our dough. So she opens the refrigerator and the dough rose. And Claire was like, it rose very significantly. That's a lot of dough. And it's very squishy. And so now she's measured it at 30 grams because she wants everything to cook evenly. Okay, so now they're talking about. Fuck, what are we talking about again? Okay, so they're talking about how the dinner rolls and stuff. And then Megan starts talking about her wedding again. That's probably what threw me off because I just, oh, God. So they were showing pictures of her wedding reception, of her and Harry dancing, of the seats, and yeah, of that stuff. And they're talking about fried chicken. The fried chicken looked hella fucking weird. Like, it looked really weird. It was probably like a little breast or something because when I think of fried chicken, I think of legs and wings. Okay, and it had like what looked like caviar in a spoon on top of it. It's like little round and black. It just looks disgusting. Like, I wouldn't even touch it. I probably would have barfed all over it. So now that they made four things of Parker rolls, they're putting them in the oven for about 25 minutes. And then Megan was like, to complement our Parker rolls, I made compound butter. And Claire, she's just like, cool. Like, see, they probably know Megan can't cook for shit. Okay, so these people So Megan got done making her butter. I wasn't really interested. So um, now they are cutting up the fish, and they cut the fish into like two pieces for starters. And then I guess after they did that, Claire put her thumb on the bread and the bread bounced back. So that means they're ready to bake. So they're putting it on 375 for 25 minutes. And now it's baking. Oh, excuse me. And then Claire was like, we need to cut these vegetables and we need to make a sauce out of them. So I guess that's what they're going to be doing with the fish. Okay, so when Megan opens the refrigerator, you see nothing but green, like green vegetables. So from what I can remember, they're like, we need thyme, parsley, basil, onion, this onion, that onion. We need mushrooms, garlic. Um, and they're just chopping everything up, just chopping it, chopping it, chopping it. And they put the fish like in the beginning. They put it like after like two layers, and they put the two things of halibut guts or the insides, whatever it's called, into the bowl, and then she pours white wine. She pours like half a white wine, a whole jar of chicken broth, and she was like, "We're gonna let it simmer for 30 minutes." So she chops some ingredients and then she puts them in a boiler, but she has to cook them individually. And then she puts all three of the different vegetables into a cold bath. And now they're straining the broth. Okay. Okay, you guys. So, um, Claire put the clams in a hot pot, and then after like 5 minutes, she put the broth in there, and then she'll shake it so the clams can open up. And then I didn't know when people were served clams, they were served the whole body. That was very interesting to me. And to the fact that she asked Megan, "Do you want to do a restaurant style? Or you want to do a normal style?" She's like, "Restaurant." Claire cut the stomach out of the clam. Yo, and just served like an orange and white part of the clam. Oh, I didn't know people were eating the clams insides. That is so gross. So now they're talking about poaching the fish. So they put it in the broth. They put it on 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and now they take it out and they're dressing up the fish with leaves and decorations and everything. So they're eating. They saying how good the fish is. Megan saying she's a stellar chef. She's saying thank you, and then Megan was like, "How many years ago was it that I found you?" 6, 7 years ago, man, I was just engaged, and how you got so many stars now. I'm tired of hearing about Megan's wedding. I really am. So they're just showing clips from the middle of the show about the fish and about them rolling the Parker rolls, and they're just blah 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 blah. And okay, so she surprises Prince Harry. They show a picture of Prince Harry, Meghan, and the lady, and then she's off back to London, and that's the show.